music coming.
Believe it, lie, so everything that I know says I gotta go, tired of going solo, but I'm never gonna go there again. This is what it is, this is who I am, this is where I finally take my stand. I didn't want to fall, but I don't have to fall. I'm not the one with two star hands, giving him the best of everything that's left of the life inside this man. I've been born again.
Yes, we are back again, everyone. Eddie Huff here, and for some reason,
Mic on.
That might help.
There we go.
There's the
every
dulcet
week.
tones.
I thought we had all about. Every week, there's something that is not quite right.
But this week's a bonus.
Well, the good news is I've got you all right, and
Yeah.
I'm wrong.
Yeah. But every week we got your opinion and we got my opinion. This week, in addition, we got the right opinion.
Oh,
Chris
okay.
Medlock. And if you don't believe it, folks, just ask him.
Yes, and
I don't know what you're
that's
talking
because
about.
he's on the right side. He's
Yeah,
on my
yeah.
right side. So.
Yeah.
Yes, we have Chris Medlock, former Tulsa City Councilman and former mayoral candidate.
My first name is now former. So,
And
so I'm the former Chris Medlock.
former talk radio
Yeah.
host from KFAQ days.
That's right.
You
right.
guys get a
Way
sense of
back.
things?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I know one thing most people, he's probably one of the best political strategists I've ever met. Tacticians.
Thank you.
We worked the Santorum presidential campaign. You and I got a statewide electoral win.
Yes, we did.
Yes. we
There was
did.
even a picture in the Tulsa World of us.
Yeah. High five.
High-fiving, so, yeah.
Yep.
It's the only time I ever got a good picture in the Tulsa World.
Is that right?
I literally at one time was doing a debate with Randy Miller at the Tulsa County Men's Club, and I saw the reporter from the Tulsa World was there at the time, and there was a photographer, and I said, well, I see the photographer from the Tulsa World is here. I'm going to give him the picture he came for. And I just went, because they always made me look angry and crazy. So, and I am told PJ Lassick, the reporter, had that photograph in her cubicle until she retired. So,
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I never got to see it.
But the master of the soundbite, he had just survived the only recall election ever held. It was him and Martino both. But the next day he shows up for a city council meeting and they were calling the roll. And instead of saying here, he said, still here.
Still
I
here.
love it. You used it on your show every day.
Yeah. Actually, when Del Giorno was in town, he had a quote of the year contest, and that won quote of the year. So
Awesome.
yeah. It's my one claim to fame.
That's interesting. Yeah, I forgot all about that they
Oh.
tried to recall.
Yeah.
Who initiated that? Who started that?
It was a guy named Jim Burge, was one of the few people that I could identify. It came from all over the place. We never really got a definitive answer to it, but it was the Tulsa area realtors. It was elements of the city water department, or actually the board. We went after them and weren't making very many friends, basically.
Yeah.
So we met a lot of enemies.
But the thing is,
a lot of people.
this is a guy who could keep his mouth shut when he needed to.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest retail developments ever
Right.
in Tulsa
Tulsa
was
Hills.
in your district, and you had to keep your mouth shut while they were securing it.
Not only that, it was my idea.
Yeah.
It was my idea. Yeah, and I couldn't.
And you're getting beat up because you're holding back commerce.
Yeah, I was anti-growth.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Unbelievable.
I know that is really weird, because to this day, I mean, when you look at it now, everybody's mad. Well, part of town and a certain segment of people are mad because Tulsa Hills is so successful. And it's now, were you also involved in the Jenks development? Weren't you partially involved in?
No.
City of Tulsa.
All city of Tulsa.
No, I know, but now, so bringing, or was there a battle between trying to get the outlet? Weren't we trying to get it?
I wasn't
on
involved
this?
in the outlet
That was
at
a
all,
little
no.
after
Yeah,
you. Okay,
yeah, that was way after.
right.
me.
Okay, because
The irony is, I will probably be shopping there. I'm a big outlet. I mean, we take vacations around where outlets are. So,
take vacations.
Yeah.
No, 'cause
well, let's
I
go to
see-
Venice. I don't know. Are there any outlets there?
That's awesome.
So yeah, No, it's because it seems as though I recall there was a battle between getting it in Tulsa and getting it over there. In which side?
Oh yeah, Tulsa screwed up.
Yeah,
and Jinx just but then again, it kind of fell through for how many decades?
It's fallen through about 3 times.
Yeah.
That they began construction on it. So
see, this
bad
is
timing.
This is one of my big peeves and one of my big arguments that Tulsa has let so many of these things fall through their hands because they focus on the wrong things. And yeah, for example, to me, they're so worried about the arts and the downtown crowd, that where the people live and where the real abundance is. You take Woodland Hills, you take Tulsa Hills, that's where the money is generated, and that's where, and you generate it on the east and the west side of town, and then you look around and it gets spent downtown.
Yeah, well, I mean, mostly on the south side of town. All of the real growth has been on the south side up to now. Right,
and it gets spent then on
up
things
in the corner
down in town.
Well, I actually
in the center.
One of the 2 times I ran for mayor, I made the downtown people apoplectic because I was saying we needed to spend a greater percentage of our money on the corridor of 71st Street corridor, especially from the highway down to Memorial, because it was generating at that time something like 40% of the sales tax revenue for the city of Tulsa. Why would you not be? And it needed to be protected. It needed to be, and we're seeing right now with Amazon and iCommerce and everything, e-commerce has really dug into that. But that was what was paying the bills. Yeah. And they were still like, no, downtown. Why? Because the Lorton family that owned the Tulsa World had a lot of real estate down there, and they wanted to retire and sell the paper and sell that building, and they were trying to keep that property value up.
Yeah,
there were a few others that were helping. That let's just say the people that owned the property downtown wanted to keep that up, and I mean, listen, I understand their interests, but to have vision. They always talk about the vision project. Yeah. The problem is it's what would you call it? Nearsighted. It's nearsighted or not ethno. What we just egocentric or self-centered. Yeah. It's or small-centered. It benefits a certain group of people. The sad thing is they keep convincing another whole segment of people that they're supposed to support this segment of people, and they're successful at it, but that somehow needs to change, and I hope that we can soon do that.
Well, it was, they own the Tulsa World, so they told us what we think.
Yeah.
And remember, they were the same one that pitched us this great idea of an airline centered in Tulsa. Disaster. Medlock, you're awfully quiet.
Well, I was going to say, don't even get me started on that, because I was on the committee that investigated that, and but anyway, they were constantly looking for what was going to really flip the city and compete with Oklahoma City. And while you were talking, Eddie, the thing that came up to me was it all came down to how you define success, and they were defining success as to how thriving your downtown community was.
Right.
And I heard somebody the other day just bragging big time, and I suppose they won in one regard, but they were bragging about how Oklahoma City and their various MAPS projects that they had, which were the equivalent of our Vision 2020, was it 2025? I can't even remember anymore. But anyway, that's why they've got the Thunder. That's why they've got part of the Olympics is going to Oklahoma City now, and that's a fantastic success. But really, in the long run, are they really more successful because our people and our businesses and such got to keep more of their taxes in their pocket and have nicer homes maybe, or we're able to keep the difference between their business thriving or not thriving? So it really becomes how you define success.
Well, and again, Oklahoma City, I think, is in a similar situation that you have all the people really living in Yukon and Edmond and all of the suburbs. It's a suburb situation. And if you drive the streets of Oklahoma City, the streets of Oklahoma City are probably as bad or worse than the streets of Tulsa.
Yeah.
I mean, the infrastructure in Oklahoma City is no better or nicer than it is in Tulsa.
But they got a basketball team.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, we help subsidize.
Partly, yeah.
Well,
I've never been a big fan of them. I made the decision that I was not going to follow the Thunder when they decided they're going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder instead of the Oklahoma Thunder. But they were saying, "Oh, we want Tulsa to support us,"
right,
and such. And I was just like, "No, sorry, no. I've been a Celtics fan off and on my whole life." And
well, they held off on the official naming until first they went to the legislature, and they allowed that rumor they'd be the Oklahoma Thunder. And then after they got their state funding, then they went to the city of Oklahoma City. And that's where they said, we will call ourselves Oklahoma City if you guys come up with a lot. And then they've already threatened to pull out if they don't build them yet another new arena. You know, that's it. And I think you were the one that coined the phrase, it'd be okay. What'd you call it?
The duct tape arena. I'm sorry, that was my Joe Biden moment. Duct tape arena. Yeah, that came from me. I actually had somebody put that back in. Oh, I like to call that the duct tape arena. And I went,
because that looks like a big roll of duct tape.
Well, the guy looked at me and said, I like to call, I coined it as, he said, the guy I'm talking to said, I started calling it the duct tape arena. And I went, yeah, I came up with that. I can kind of prove that.
No, you're talking about the BOK.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I just want to be sure because there may be thinking about Oklahoma City.
Or 4 years ago when all the global media came in, it was called the Bach Center. They just call it Bach.
Yeah, the guys at KVO Radio, which was across the hall from KFAQ, came up with a song based on the Macarena, but it was the Bach Arena. So,
the Bach Arena.
It's pretty good. I wish I had that still.
Yeah, that's good. So, Chris, what have you been doing these past several years since you quit being city councilman, quit being a radio broadcaster?
Various and sundry things, including retirement, which just sort of happened. I'd say, when did you retire? And I went, I don't know. It just sort of happened. But I show dogs competitively now.
With some success.
Pretty good success. We're actually leaving for the national championships in a couple weeks. Just came back from Oklahoma City's big show, and this isn't what you see on Westminster. This isn't the what we call the beauty contest stuff. This is rally obedience. So it's otherwise known as agility for old people. But it's pretty neat. And you have 105 signs that have various skills that you and your dog have to do, and they will create courses of varying complexity, never the same.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm busting out here. Break. I'm channeling my inner Del Giorno moment. He said he loved talking about the Westminster because it's the only time you can talk about bitches without offending anyone.
Yeah.
That's my Michael Del Giorno moment. Sorry.
That's fine.
Not really.
I'm glad you let that out. You were over there about to bust a gut while I was trying to tell an interesting story about my dog, which is the most important thing in my life.
Exactly. Please continue.
Anyway, we just went down there and competed in 6 trials. That was 18 competitions because we do what's called triples. And we won 10 of the 18, got second in 4 of the 18, a third and a fourth. And we won all 6 high combines and 5 of the high triples. You guys have no idea what that is. Nope. And we earned our Rock 6, which is your championship qualification for the 6th time. And we are the first golden retriever in the country to do that. And she is now the 3rd dog in the country to have done that. So
how old is she?
She's 6 now.
6.
Yeah. Pretty amazing. By 6 years old, I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't even in kindergarten yet. But
at what age did you begin training?
We got her at 4 months and started right then.
Really? Right away?
By 8 months, 4 months later, I had taught her all of the skills that she needed to do. So she's been amazing. Once in a lifetime dog.
You saw.
I have pictures. I could stick them up.
You saw what happened there. See, when he got out of the out of the elective office stuff, went into campaign management, and he and I got to do that one. And this is why he does dogs. They're easier to get along with than guys like me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's talkative too, but
You went from one dog to another dog.
yeah, it's much more. It's still political. It's still a human judged. If you've had kids in gymnastics or anything that's ice skating or anything that's human judged, it's still political.
Yeah.
And I'm still good at it. I still work. I work the judges.
The Russian judge gives.
Yeah.
We actually have one. We actually have a Russian judge.
Yeah,
I think he's got a little Bobby Knight in him, you know.
No, you just work it, you know.
He's throwing what is
Chairs.
it?
Folding chairs.
No,
we have those too.
What is that thing? Purina all across the.
Oh,
No. We were for a while subsidized by Eukanuba, so don't say Purina.
Okay.
I know.
We were powered by Eukanuba for.
Are
for
there
a year now.
sponsorships?
We were trying to get one. What happened was we were so dominating at the Texas Classic, which was a regional competition in United Kennel Club, that we won so much that we won a year and a half's worth of free dog food from Eukanuba. So yeah.
That sounds like a parting gift from a game show.
Well, it was like $1,500, buddy. Are you going to
that's
turn
all
that
right.
down? Yeah.
Yeah, because dogs can eat.
Yeah, they were like $90 a bag.
Yeah. See, I've been lectured by him. When we were working the campaign, I was telling him about Peanut, my lab retriever mix. And he said, "Oh, God, you don't have a free range bowl sitting there always full, do you?"
Yeah, that's free feeding. No, you don't do that.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, I really didn't appreciate dogs. They were just dogs, you know, until we got my mother's dog. My mom moved in with us, as you know, about 12 years ago. And with her came her poodle.
Mm-hmm.
She had a miniature, not the toy, the in between, and named Lucky. And that dog changed me. And it was absolutely the smartest dog. In fact, that dog was so smart that my wife and I had to sign around him.
Wow.
Yeah, we couldn't just speak because the dog knew, and not only he would be watching what we're saying and listening. And my wife, it was just, I mean, I can just picture sitting there listening, watching what we're saying.
We have code words. If I can't say my dog's name, we've got two actually. One's really dumb, but he's getting smarter.
That's really dumb.
It's my wife's dog. He's dumb. Stupid, actually. She sometimes comes, "Oh, hello, stupid." But we use code words, and if we're talking about Smidgen, my dog that I show, and we don't want her to react to it, we have to say the monkey. Because we say she's the first example of a successful transplant of a monkey's brain into a dog's body. So she's the monkey. So
yeah, there you go. I mean, so if you don't know, there are intelligent dogs out there. They're not just animals.
Medlock, that day we had Secret Service in Santorum come in. You guys all decided I was going to go drive his family. There's one thing you missed out.
We just got you out of the office.
That's exactly because the Duggars were coming in, right? Yeah, we know how you're into homeschooling families at 20.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I didn't even know who they were before. The Duggars are coming in.
Yeah, but I'm sitting there lined up against the wall with a bunch of Tulsa police, and we're watching a marvel of a bomb sniffing dog that Secret Service brought in.
Yeah.
And everybody's just silent and just in awe. And I said, "Oh, God, all my dog can do is crap in the yard." And they all cracked up laughing because they were all feeling that same sentiment. Because to watch such a highly trained dog is a marvel, especially law enforcement dogs.
Yeah. Well, I get to look down a highly trained dog while I'm working a course with her. So
there you go.
You guys have no idea. She's just amazing. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well,
You didn't bring me here to talk about
no,
dogs.
we didn't know, Chris. So
I can do it all day.
right, we have got a huge election, which I know we say this every 4 years, but I believe truly the fate of our nation hangs in the balance this fall. And we've never talked about this. I don't know your opinion of Donald Trump or whatever. But it'd be good to hear it. What do you think? And what do you think his real chances are of taking back the presidency?
Well, I guess I can confess, because it's still out there on Facebook. In 2016, I was a fervent anti-Trumper, mainly because I'd worked with Santorum and got a phone call from Santorum on my cell phone once when I was at
I was there with you.
well, you weren't. My wife was there, but it happened while you were there at the Oklahoma
SRLC.
City. Yeah, but it happened. It was just my wife and I at lunch when we got the call. But anyway, I was Santorum. I was looking at a traditional conservative constitutional, and I had watched Trump and what do you call his show? It just left me.
The Apprentice.
The Apprentice. Thank you. I watched The Apprentice for about 5 seasons, and I just got tired of him.
Yeah,
it just grating on the personality and everything. And so I quit watching it, and I just didn't believe he was going to be what he said he was going to be. So I was pretty vocal, and took me about 3 weeks of being in office. I went, I'm a fan. He started proving to himself that he was going to be the conservative that I hoped we would get. And I've been by the last election, 2020, I was saying I will crawl through broken glass to vote for the guy. So yeah, I'm definitely on board.
Yeah.
I've given him money. I guess that's the best way to.
That is it.
So.
Just as a sidelight here, it's so funny to me because I remember when you were running for mayor. And I remember you had these people that would call in supporting you, and they would always say we've got to get Chris Medlock, and I'm voting for him. And then it happened again with Randy Brogdon, and they would always say, we've got to get him. And I say, oh, so how much have you given to the campaign?
Right.
Well, in kind. And I said,
we got a lot of in kind.
Yeah. And I said, in kind isn't going to do the job, because people in their mind think that, yes, it's good to have people that are willing to do this or this or this. But the reality is money talks. Mm-hmm. We may not like it, but money buys ads, money buys signs, it buys flyers, it buys mailings, it buys airtime. It just gets your presence out there, and it's the currency of the day. And we would love to that it weren't so, but it is, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. And so to condition plus one of the things I've really found is that you really know who you have on your side when they give their money. Because
more time. Any success I had, including when I ran for city council, was really volunteers. No doubt about it. It's worth a lot. Mm-hmm. Name recognition is the big deal that money helps, especially on local elections. My big problem running for mayor, it switches. You can win a city council race with volunteers. Mm-hmm. It's very hard to win a mayor's race because there's only one candidate, and you get spread pretty thin pretty fast. So you need that broadcast ability. And I also lucked out that KFAQ was very kind to me, and to a certain degree, so was KRMG. They gave me pretty good time to get that free stuff. The problem you run into running for mayor in this town is I kept getting, and I walk into a store, hey, Chris Medlock, hey, we're pulling for you, brother. Go out there and win. We're really hoping you win. Okay, don't forget to vote. Oh, I can't vote for you. I live in Broken Arrow. Yeah. Hey, Chris Medlock, we're really pulling for you, brother. Well, don't forget to vote. I can't vote for you. I'm living in Owasso. So we've had all the conservatives slowly but surely doing what conservatives do in just about every municipality in the world, which is they head to the suburbs. Mm-hmm. And then you're suddenly a minority.
I want to get into this.
But let me just to bring this home. No, I understand the importance of volunteers. I'm just saying that if you, because I remember so clearly the financial thing of you as opposed to your opponents. Yeah. And, when you got somebody that's got, $100,000 over here. Oh yeah. I mean, I ran against Dewey Bartlett the second time, who was, whose
started out fabulously wealthy and became wealthy through a lot of hard work. But his dad built it. Sorry if he's listening. I'm really counting on you guys not having that kind of. But it'll probably get back to him anyway. But Dewey could self-fund his campaign, and he didn't have to because suddenly he had other people writing checks for him.
Exactly.
Would have helped greatly. There's no doubt about it.
Yes.
But I think we're finding slowly but surely that you hit a certain point where you can get too much money, and it doesn't give you any additional
exactly
value
right.
at that point.
If there's a name bigger than Bartlett, it's probably LaFortune.
Right, and I ran against a LaFortune. I didn't even run against G.T. Bynum, who was a LaFortune, but didn't have the LaFortune name.
But here's the thing: there's getting elected to office, and there's running the city. And you did one of the most amazing things that nobody saw coming. You got a few guys, a couple of you that we consider on the right, and some of the people at Tradition you think are on the left. Turner and Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys formed a populist majority.
We were a cabal. Talk
about what you did.
Well, I mean, I sat around with a bunch of guys. I thought I came in there, was trying to make friends with all the Republicans. I was at the time a very loyal Republican, served on the county leadership and executive committee, and been a state committeeman and all that. So I came in. I'm meeting all the Republicans, and I start watching how they vote and how they behave and all of that. And I start listening to the promises that I made to the people that I ran, and knocked on doors with. And I had a very diverse district. District 2 is West Tulsa, which has some projects and is basically, a working class neighborhoods and such. And then I had Southern Hills and all the houses around there. So I when I ran, took my trifold that I had that had my major promises that I knocked doors and put it in my top desk and looked at it periodically to remember what I had promised to do. People wanted shopping, and they wanted a Mexican restaurant, and various things. But I kept that in mind, and I saw that a lot of the Republicans were working against that. They seemed to be working more for county interests than they were for city interests. So I was getting along very well with the Democrats that were there at the time, and we just at one point we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Gee, if we can get together, not talk, Republican and Democrat, black and white, professional class and working class. We were trying to do all the things that everybody says, boy, wouldn't it be great if the country could come together and work together. And we just created a firestorm of resistance. But we basically, for about a year and a half, until they bought off Sam Roop,
yes,
we ran the city of Tulsa to a certain degree.
And here's the thing I always say: a lot of times it's not left versus right; it's the big guy versus little guy.
It's no longer left versus right. Just did another radio show a couple of weeks ago and made that point, is that we've gone from being horizontal left versus right to being more of a class battle of what we called at that time grassroots and grass tops. Or now it's, in populist terms, it would be more the establishment and the populace, the people. So we're watching a definite shift. Now that may sort of filter back into that horizontal type of strategy, but right now it's very class oriented,
especially on municipal issues. I think when you're asking a single mom to pay more sales tax for something that she'll never enjoy, like Rolling Stones concert at the BOK.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely the case.
Well, just to interrupt that.
Okay.
That mom is probably going to go to the Rolling Stones concert, but she's not going to go to the Nutcracker
at $150 a ticket.
Well, right, but I'm saying she will probably let her kids do without to go see the Rolling Stones or the Eagles or whoever may be coming.
I did an entire show. I remember a 2-hour show on the BOK Center, and how it was never going to pay for itself, no matter what they said, and took everybody through the math. Probably one of the most boring shows I've ever done, because I was doing math, but proved it's just never going to pay for itself. Yeah. It's an indulgence. It's something that certain group of people. My brother and sister-in-law use it. They're big Ice Oilers fans. So they're get in that arena 20, 30 times a year. They're getting a lot out of it, but there's other people never set foot in it. And what value is it bringing to them? Those are big questions you gotta weigh. And that's getting back to what we were saying, who won, Oklahoma City or Tulsa? You can argue it both ways. So
no, I understand. And I think it's very important, though, for people to understand exactly that, because you were there at the beginning because to me, you did one of the greatest things in this century, and that is bring Tulsa Hills Shopping Center here. And it was such, I
Be
think
careful.
it was,
You're only encouraging him.
his head is big enough. No,
I'm good with it. You keep it up.
yeah. No, but seriously, I think
I'm retired now. Nobody says anything.
I think it was kind of a shock to a lot of people that he pulled it off, but it was. I mean, and it still is. It has really done so much for West Tulsa, and it's still doing things. And the new development of homes, apartments, and things. I mean, the whole community, it's transferred. And so now, as I said before, you have almost like an east and a west. And it's all, you just go straight down 71st. Yep. You got Woodland Hills on one end and the Tulsa Hills on the other.
That's kind of what we were looking at. That I said I had 3 careers that sort of melded into that. I'd done out of college. I didn't get my wife and I got married and dropped out of college for a while. And I went into retail sales and worked towards retail management. Then I went in with, I was with TV Guide and marketing, and we were doing a lot of market research and focus grouping and things of that nature. And then I got onto the city council. And so I was learning all about tax revenue and how all that worked and such. So we went down and I can't remember what year it was, but Oklahoma State, I'm a big OSU Pokes fan, and we got an invitation to the to San Antonio to the bowl game down there, and took the trek down I-35. And I just kept noticing this trained brain on 3 different things. I kept noticing what Texas does and we don't as you go down I-35. And if you drive the highways of Tulsa right now, look around, you don't see retail. You don't see mercantile behavior anywhere. It's homes. So the home builders dominated. That's part of who tried to recall us, were the home builders and the realtors. But they put the homes close to it, trying to sell what? How fast you can get downtown, because it's all about downtown, right, guys? So anyway, it was that. And then in Texas, you're driving down and I start seeing all these HEBs and such, and big shopping centers, and endless along it. So they're putting all their retail along there. Well, how does the city of Tulsa pay for itself? Retail sales tax. That's 90% of where the revenue comes from. So I was constantly cranking, how are we going to increase that retail sales? Then I started thinking, that was the first time we saw that plot of land that's now going to be what we were talking about. The outlet mall was being talked about to be a shopping center. And I thought, well, we've got this area in my district that has 71st Street and a
highway.
Yeah, the highway right along there.
Got infrastructure already there.
What's there? Nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing except trees and such. So
and horse pasture.
So everybody was trying to push for money they were wanting to do this study. I can't remember the name of the group that did it anymore, but they had changed the way they looked at how retail was. They used to do retail research, concentric circles, and how many people lived 2 miles away, 5 miles away, 10 miles away. They changed the thought pattern on it, and they said it's not how far you are, it's how fast you can get there.
Minutes away.
Well, 71st is 75 is right there. So we started fighting over who was going to get the money. There was $400,000 we had allocated to do 4 studies, $100 studies. And anyway, we were fighting over those, and 2 of them ended up going to Oklahoma or to downtown to do, I think it was the Brady district and another area. And then Jim Martino got one for East Tulsa, and I got the one and it came back off the charts. They said it was one of the highest ones they'd ever had, was the Tulsa Hills area, which I didn't surprise me at all, because it just clicked with everything that I knew. And people are tripping over themselves at that point to to come do it. So, but if I wouldn't have gotten that funding, and we fought like crazy to get that funding, all that money would have been wasted trying to prove downtown was the place to build. And no, it wasn't. It was over in West Tulsa. My wife at the time was working for a commercial realtor, one of the largest ones. And she was sitting in a meeting and they were just laughing about they were going to build that. Who's going to go over there? Who's going to cross the river? And I kept saying, representing East or West Tulsa, I kept saying, it's a river. It's not the Berlin Wall. You're not going to get shot if you cross the river. Right. And it didn't even matter because we were saying, you got Sapulpa over there. You got Glenpool over there. You got Sand Springs. You got.
And they have grown
Jenks.
Massively, partly because of that.
And none of them had to cross the river to do it. So, it's worked out really well.
It amazes me. At some point, I'm sorry. There's just so many things we can talk about here. The dynamics of what, because you and LaFortune, I thought we were going to have a duel down there at Parade Grounds or something, because it was just that much enmity going on.
I like Bill LaFortune. I always liked Bill LaFortune.
He's a likable
He's impossible.
guy.
Me, it's possible to not like me. It's not possible to dislike Bill LaFortune, but
you had him in fits.
Yeah, well, Del Giorno was helping a lot, and so we had the alternative media that was fighting, and they weren't used to people fighting back. And you got a taste of that when you were at KFAQ. When you had that microphone, you had a pretty reasonably on a local level, pretty powerful little alternative voice. Yeah, and that turned into my very brief fourth career. Working for them for a year and a half till the bottom fell out of the economy.
It did.
Yeah. No, like I said, I just think, that was an incredible win for Tulsa that you pulled off there. And I don't think you got enough credit for it, but I think we're in the same situation. I know when Vision 2025 came about, what really ticked me off, or still ticks me off about Vision 2025, or the vision period, because now it's 2025. It's still Vision 2025, but they call it Vision 2025. I think it was 2025 2 or 2025 plus or something like that.
It was Vision 2.
Well, because you had maps 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, okay. It's a Vision 2. But what gets me is exactly that. See, when we first moved here in 92, okay, I think it was 93 or 4 when Westinghouse came into town. No, I'm sorry, Whirlpool came. And they asked for the half-penny sales tax to build Whirlpool. And so everybody voted for it, and we gave.
I was on the sales tax overview committee for that, by the way.
Were you really?
Yeah,
okay. For 9 months. In 9 months, they made. I still remember on TV they came on. Oh wow! Hey, Whirlpool says they have enough money. In fact, they have too much. They're going to refund the overpayment. It's over. They're cutting the half-penny sales tax and they're giving it back. I said, wow, this is great. Can you believe it? I think we got a $50 check back or something, and every family in Tulsa got whose taxes who helped pay for that in that. So next thing you know, next election, now, we're going to have a savage
third penny sales tax, or
all of a sudden now we had a third penny sales tax for this.
They kept re-upping it,
and then all of a sudden, it was new then. The half penny ended, but then they came up with, now we're going to do a third. It was a new tax, and it was what was Savage's first name? Susan Savage came
Mary
up.
Hall.
Right. All of a sudden, we got a third penny, and then they renewed that, and then they added to it, and it's like all of a sudden it's a perpetual.
Sure.
It's a perpetual thing, and the vision tax was supposed to be a Vision 2025 for certain, but now
the third penny sales tax was always called a temporary tax, and it still is a temporary tax because it stops. I actually, with the first time I worked with another Democrat was around 91, 92, about that time on the re-upping of it, and we said, let's take a time out. And I headed up probably the first citywide campaign I worked on was me and a guy named Herb Beatty. Took on the third penny sales tax, and it was basically like, let's stop and prove to us it's a temporary tax.
Right.
Shut it down. let us live without it for a little while, see what life is like without it for a little while, and then we'll see what happens after that. Oh boy, because here you go, all Crossland Construction Company and all the different Manhattan Construction and all of them came out. We didn't have any money. We were just doing lots of crazy little I can't think of the word right now, another Biden moment. But anyway, we were going out to the river and waving signs and stuff like that to create photo shoots and that type of thing. And it failed miserably and angered the guy I worked with at the time.
Well, you were killing jobs.
I killed my job. So, yeah.
But that's just it. That's what I'm saying, that if these perpetuals are not really perpetuals, they're perpetual in name only. The only thing perpetual is the name.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, temporary. The only thing temporary, they are perpetual, actually.
Well,
they might as well call it the third
I was
perpetual
that,
penny.
I wasn't going to argue with the host. I was going to let you.
Thank you. No, feel free. Feel free.
Like what they're doing.
We argue all the
let him
time.
Say what he wants to.
No.
Nobody knows.
I don't have
this third penny idea. One of the early people that pushed it was a mayor, Jim Inhofe, early 80s. And that's how we got the Low Water Dam and a few other things. But he bragged about he got that done 6 months ahead of schedule and $60 million under budget. And then through shenanigans, he gets voted out of office and we get Terry Young. And it's less than a month, Terry Young buys up $60 million worth of flooded houses at market rates.
In the floodplain.
Yeah.
And I only got to talk to Terry Young one time while I was on the city council. And that was while they were talking about who owned the land that Tulsa Hills sits on, coming full circle. And Terry Young owned a big hunk of land down there.
Oh, wow.
And benefited from the sale.
Yeah, the guy could never stay out of controversy.
He was trying to kill it. Actually, he was trying to kill. Well, he was threatening if he didn't get better money.
Yeah.
So I guess I'd be doing the same thing.
Sure, you would. Another person, another mayor that you gave fits to, but this time through your megaphone on the radio.
I can't believe
was when you were calling, or when you were notifying us the identifiers on a certain airplane.
Tell
me about that.
Kathy Taylor, she and her husband, millionaires that they were, had his and hers airplanes. Of course, his was much larger, but they were talking about selling the city hall that I had worked in and buying the one that is current now. And then also doing the ballpark came up. And that became a big issue about the new ballpark. And I was on the air, and we were getting people tipped off that they took the tail number, and you had a thing called Flight Aware that you could click into and follow them and track her. And we were tracking her with a couple of city councilors. You can never take 5 because that's a quorum. So you always had a minority to fly along with her to go view these minor league ballparks, and one day they were heading to one of the Carolinas. I can't remember, but I do remember maybe we were talking about why is she going out there. It has nothing to do with the ballpark. Maybe she's just got a hankering for some of that vinegary barbecue that they served there, and they just thought, hey, it'll be fun. Come on, couple counselors, come with me. We're going to go get some South Carolina barbecue. So we were talking on that, and I started a contest, people calling in to name her plane, and we got some very good suggestions, but I said, I'm sorry. I'm, as the one and only judge of this, I'm tossing out all your ideas and I'm going with mine. And from this point on, we will refer to her plane as Mayor Force One.
Okay. But she wasn't happy. And Elon Musk got the same treatment. Gosh,
within a week, she'd contacted them and had her tail numbers pulled from the FlightAware database. So, but it was a great fun. It was a good show.
Security risk.
Seems to me when Michael Bates was in on that deal too. I don't know.
We were all in something. We were conniving at some point.
Yeah.
But those were the good old days. Yeah. I mean, I have to admit.
Did I tell you I show dogs now? Do you want?
Yeah, but I miss those days. Those were fun days in Tulsa back then. Seriously,
Yeah, I believe
unless they're hiring private investigators to follow you around, which was the case with me for quite a while. Yeah,
but the thing I wanted to grab out of that little segment was I still think that the populist strategy is very viable today.
It's worldwide.
Yeah.
Did you see what just this weekend the British turned over after 14 years, turned from the Conservative Party to the Labour. Everybody's going, that's bad. The leftists have got it for the next 4 years, but it was the growth of the Reform UK Party that didn't exist 4 years ago that pulled more than half of the vote away from the Conservatives that have been around for hundreds of years, the Tories. France is very close to going populist. The leftists are now starting to pull out the left-wing parties are starting to pull out their candidates to coalesce around other left wings to stop Le Pen from going through. You just had the Hungarian president made the head of the European Union. He's very conservative.
That's funny.
Yeah, populism is exploding.
Yeah,
all around the country.
Holland is another one.
Holland just went. Yeah, they're Wilders. Yeah, Geert Wilders. So yeah, it's amazing. Trump is. You got Javier Milei in Argentina, who is trying to dollarize their currency. So it's amazing what's happening. Can we sustain it?
Yeah. The problem with the Republicans, as with the Conservative Party in England, is they're their own worst enemy. And I see that even in Oklahoma. Dave and I, we talk about it sometimes. I think what has happened in Oklahoma, Democrats who have seen you cannot get elected as a Democrat right now, I think probably a good portion of the Republicans that we have in the state assembly here.
I don't want to declare myself the second coming of Nostradamus, but I was on the air with Del Giorno when he was the morning after we had taken over got the majority of the House of Representatives, the State House, and is that or the Senate? I can't remember, but either way,
10 was the Senate and 7 was the House.
7, so it'd been the House, and I was like, the question now is going to stop being, hey, gosh, we're the Republican Party, let's get any Republican elected till we can get to the majority. And said that it's now going to shift to not can we get Republicans against Democrats? It's what kind of Republican are we going to put in there?
Because I suspect that a lot of the Republicans we have are not truly Republicans.
No,
they're the rhino Republicans.
Yeah, they're not ideologically driven. They're driven by, either what can I get from my district or
how can I get elected?
Yeah, or can I rise up to statewide elective office? So yeah, it's a very and that's what happened with the Labor Party was that they were too establishment, and it's the same thing that happened. They were, it's like they were trying to still elect.
Well, you mean Conservative Party?
Yeah, the Conservative. I'm sorry. Thank you. Once again, Biden is catching up with all of us. It's contagious. They're being punished for the most part, and to the point where they may cease to exist as a party, or at least a formidable one, because people are getting angry about the immigration issue more than anything. And it's the thing. What's the number one issue here? Immigration. What's the number one in Holland? Immigration. Germany. Immigration. Hungary. Immigration.
France.
Yeah. The other night for hours, I was watching GB News, which is the network that Nigel Farage helped launch a couple years ago. And they're talking about him. They see him as very much kind of a Trump quality guy, communicator. Oh,
he's in some ways superior.
Yes.
He doesn't have the raging narcissism that Trump does.
Right.
So.
And he put together a rally, just, short spur of the moment in Birmingham, central England. 5,000 people show up. To them, it's unheard of to have over 100 show up. It just doesn't happen. And I'm trying to think, okay, if I'm Nigel Farage, I've got this party that's essentially about 4 weeks old, And they're trying to run as many candidates, and a lot of those candidates really weren't fit to be elected. It was a fast-moving thing. He's got 4, but they're 4 quality guys that are in there with him. I'm trying to think, if I'm Nigel Farage, what's my next move? I'm going to throw that to you.
For Farage?
Yeah, what does he do next 5 years?
Well, he's now for the first time an MP, so he's going to have to serve, which is going to limit him a little bit. You tick, wait for the Labor Party to become the Labor Party and do what the left always does, and they'll overstep their bounds. As soon as they announced it, I looked over at my wife and I said, 2.5 years, we'll have what I call a rump election. I can't think of their term for it, but anyway, it'll be a vote of no confidence on the Labor Party, and you try to sneak in then. So just tick, wait, continue to point. Do what Trump has done 4 years out of office, have everybody pointing out every stupid move they make and just keep it in front of people so they don't forget.
Yeah. A mistake that the conservatives made was getting rid of the lady. Remember they elected a woman.
Well, Theresa May.
Yeah.
Theresa May.
Another one after that.
Right. Well, no, Theresa May.
I was just watching a video of her when they had everybody. They do a very odd thing. It's almost like a lineup in a police station. They had all the candidates up there and they read their local election totals. And she was the last one there and she lost by a few hundred votes and she's out of office now.
Right. But Theresa May, they basically just betrayed her. She was actually a conservative, but she was so betrayed. She actually treated like Trump from within her own party.
Right.
And she wasn't strong enough to withstand it. And yeah, she's gone, which is too bad. And I've seen her she's come over here and done some shows on Newsmax and different things and explained what was going on. But it's Europe is a tough nut to break because it's, but I think you're right. They will overstep. They will overstep.
They always do.
Yeah. And so Italy is another place with the lady there.
Yeah, but she's a globalist.
You think so?
No.
I don't think so.
Well,
either.
I watched her with Biden.
Well,
nobody did more to protect Biden.
Well,
I think
she was the host.
Yeah, she's the host. She was right. But if you've heard her, she literally can't stand the French president.
Yeah, I just felt like she wasn't doing me
It's
anything.
Giorgia Meloni.
Georgia Meloni, yeah, that's her name. Yeah.
Elizabeth Truss.
No, she's a
another
rock
woman
star.
Prime Minister that I didn't know if you were referring to May.
I'm just going to stop you. Meloni is a rock star.
Right, she is.
So,
no,
she
Meloni is.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah,
I felt like I wanted to see Biden really show his colors.
She was concerned. She was concerned about the meeting, keeping.
You're right.
But what made that so viral was that he wandered off and she went over and gently brought him back.
I wanted to wander off further.
You wanted her to push him over there.
No,
him.
But you're right. You're right. She's a decent person. I agree with that. I'm a little bit leery of the globalists there, and call me prejudiced. Prove to me you're not.
Yeah.
Prejudice.
Yeah.
He told me to.
Okay.
So, Chris, do you have any aspirations of re-entering?
No. Ask me again. No.
So you're happy with your dogs?
Very happy with my dogs. Very happy with my wife. If I stepped back into the fray, I would probably have one of my dogs and no wife. And no, I don't want to. No, it was a fascinating 3 years. Happy to do things behind the scenes here or there, but no, I'm out of that.
His last political involvement was president of Tulsa Area Republican Assembly. The final thing he had to
drag
do
me
was
back in.
Get elections done. First thing is get a president. They elected me. He hands me the microphone.
And I was gone.
He wouldn't even finish the meeting. That's how badly he
wanted. He left the meeting.
I was out of
and I was in charge.
I had to throw away the running shoes I had because I left skid marks getting out of there. So
he was ready to get out.
That is too funny. That is good.
Yeah. So you grew up in Tulsa, right?
Till I came, I was born here, moved away, and came back at 7 years old. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
and then you went to school at what is now Metric Christian.
Mason High School. Yeah.
Mason. What's the first name?
Charles C. Mason.
Charles C. Mason. I just won a bet. Thank you.
Yeah, we.
Somebody thought it was Robert Mason.
We will be most famous for that. We supplied the city 2 city councilors because John Eagleton was a graduate.
Is that right?
Yeah. So
Of Mason?
yeah, I was doing another radio show a few months ago, and the guest after me was going to be Jim Stovall, who's famous. He's blind and has made millions of dollars.
Credible guy.
Yeah, writes self-help books and I said, we're both graduates of the Mason class of 76. So I said, yeah, I actually got kicked out of my chemistry class because I kept squirting Jim with water, and he'd go, what's on my arm? And
he could see back.
And the host at that point was, that was the point. He was looking like, that was cruel, picking on the blind guy. And I was like, no, he could see. He was like the shot putter I was not going to mess with him directly.
Right.
But
yeah,
he was a good friend.
ORU athlete.
Yeah, he didn't lose his sight until he got to ORU.
Well, he had Coke bottle glasses at the time, but he was a lineman on the football team. So,
yeah.
Wow. That's who we need to get in here at some point.
Yeah. Dewey Bartlett and I got in a little bit of an argument at state convention one time about that football field at Mason. Because of it, Peoria Avenue floods because there used to be a creek went right through there. When they built that football field, they just backed everything up.
I had no idea.
That's my neighborhood. So, yeah. Dewey said, well, that church shouldn't have built in a floodplain. I said, it wouldn't flood.
Would it hurt your feelings if I told you that I never lost a moment's sleep about that?
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, well, the thing was, you were
in my district, I guess.
Yes.
For 2 years, I cared.
Yes, treat me like a constituent, sir.
Well, not anymore. I'm out of that. So.
But anyway, the thing, this church where I always voted, Riverside there at 65th, there were times I couldn't vote because the whole thing was flooded out. I told Dewey about that. Well, I shouldn't have built in the floodplain. I said, the road had flooded, Dewey, and I said, the pastor told me since they started this flood management thing on our water bill, they've paid over $50,000 to the city for stormwater retention. The city should be paying them. City finally made it right, but I had to fight Dewey over it. So that had nothing to do with anything on the show.
I had a constituent that had wanted a bar ditch widened, and she called me every Sunday. Every Sunday, I just continue. Well, actually, she called me most nights, and I finally told her, call me. I told her she could call me on Tuesday once a week, and I'll talk to her. We referred to her as the ditch witch. She was actually my wife referred to her as the ditch witch, but she was annoying, believe me. But I'm always trying to be, I was, when I was in retail, I was the manager they send out when you were angry because your VCR didn't work or whatever. So I was always trying to be, solicitous and such. But I finally got her, and we got her. It took a year and a half, but we got her ditch fixed, and so she was happy. I think I saw her smile slightly, and I never heard from her again. So that's local politics. That's what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
I guess.
We haven't even talked about what Eddie's up to.
Yeah, I prefer we don't.
Okay, we'll leave.
At this. Yeah, we'll leave this for another time. We'll let you two talk about it in my absence.
Yes.
Would you mind leaving the room?
Medlock, I tell you, a friend of mine was talking about running for city council, and I said, you got to talk to Chris Medlock. This guy I remember when we ran the Santorum campaign, this was the guy who knew tactics and strategy, and it was just marvelous. That's why I was just glad to have you in.
I was a chess player when I was back during the Bobby Fischer thing. I turned into kind of so pretty good.
What did I always say? What's my favorite? Oh my goodness, I can't think of his name. I'm having one of your moments.
Oh yeah.
My Shrek. One of my Shrek lines.
Yeah.
He's got layers.
He's got layers.
He's
got layers.
It's all about the layers.
Yeah.
Layer on.
That's right.
Right.
Well, it just, I do want to get to some national news because part of the reason you're in today, you have to have an opinion on everything. I know that's not hard for you.
I do. That's why I love it. When people said, how do you like being on the radio? And I said, I love it. I'm getting paid to give my my opinion on everything, and that's something I would do whether they paid me or not.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
are you guys paying me?
Yeah.
We didn't talk about that.
We're letting
You have a party
your-
gift. You can take a
great.
mug.
Okay,
with
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Which one's yours?
The red one's yours.
Okay.
Hey, Supreme Court just confirmed that presidents have immunity. They clarified it though. They
Mhm.
can't go shoot people.
Limited immunity.
Right. They can't go shoot people.
Presumptive limit.
Yeah. Even though MSNBC now says they can.
They can't shoot people.
Well, they said Trump will be able to, and he can't do anything
Oh,
about
my
it.
goodness.
My problem is they just gave Biden carte blanche for a lot of the, abuse of power and using lawfare to go after his enemies.
Right, but Biden's problem is for the things he did prior to becoming president. When he was vice president.
Trying to use laws to put your opponents in jail.
No, I understand. But what I'm saying, Biden's real problems are from what he did prior
Sure.
to the documents he had when he wasn't president.
Oh, I agree with
all
that.
of that kind of thing. But I do understand what he's doing now to try to get his opponent that would come under that immunity. True.
That's my thing. Is
Well, unless that's part of the limited portion, whether that falls under that.
What would possibly be beneficial was if we had somebody here that actually spent their part of their retirement with headphones on, listening to the Supreme Court arguments while this was before the court. Oh, wait, I did that. What's forgotten in all of that and nobody talks about is a little thing that's called impeachment. So no, you can't get away with it. The point is that, maybe it would be hard. You can't arrest him and take him down while he's president to do that. But we have this special thing called impeachment. And if Donald Trump sent out hit squads, you would get 2/3 of the Senate to vote him out of office. And then they would take him and then wander him straight over to the attorney general and said, here, he's yours. So it's never going to happen. That is the vehicle which is most should be preventing any president from stepping too far.
Right.
Once you get to the point where your own people will say, no, you went too far, we're going to impeach you and oust you.
Yeah.
Then that's what they're forgetting and ignoring.
We've only had that once, and that was when Senator Baker went to the White House and told Nixon, don't look to us to protect you.
Right. It's over, which is amazing when you think about it, because that was a misuse to a certain degree. It was the number 2 or 3 guy at Deep Throat was the number 2 or 3 guy at Judiciary. So at the Justice Department, and that's who Deep Throat was. So that was lawfare in a very surreptitious way that got him. And everybody forgets that prior to him resigning, he just won what was at that time the biggest landslide victory of any Republican of any party over their opponent.
And what
he was
really
that popular.
What got him, remember, was the cover-up. He really didn't do anything.
Right.
What happened? He just found out about it and then tried to cover it up.
Yeah.
He was not involved in the actual break-in.
But is the cover-up really that bad? In hindsight, was the cover-up really that bad?
No. In retrospect, I would probably say no. But
He wasn't. Here's the thing: he wasn't covering up for himself. He was covering up his people. That's how loyal Nixon was to his people. So
this is the other thing. Who are the 2 journalists that became famous for
Woodward's and Bernstein.
Okay, and Bernstein was a journalist.
Yeah.
What was Woodward?
Well, I don't think highly of him.
Do you know where he got the job? Very before that,
What?
He was naval intelligence.
Oh.
He was CIA.
Oh,
So you had CIA and the judiciary.
how about that?
So 2 of the 3 guys in that parking garage when they were passing in all these secrets that were coming in was a number 3 guy in judiciary and a young intelligence officer that they planted at the Washington Post.
So we've had deep state ever since J. Edgar
Oh
Hoover.
yes. What on his way out? The man that won oversaw the victory in Europe. Dwight Eisenhower, on his way out of the presidency, gave a speech and said the last thing he said was beware the military-industrial complex.
Yeah.
So why do we have Ukraine going on right now? Because military industrial complex wants it. So,
right.
you know, they were if they were enough to scare an outgoing general and president, worry him. Yeah, that was 1960, 61. So,
yeah.
And, you know,
gosh, I hope you guys don't have much of a listener.
I hope I don't get into conspiracy quicksand.
I've
here.
already had people following me around. You guys need to get used to it. So,
I think you're absolutely right. I think the FBI. Remember, this is a local case. Ralph Shorty gets caught, state senator, in a hotel with an underage boy smoking pot, and the Moore Police Department so bungled that they could not prosecute him. So the FBI says, you know, we've got history of him with kiddie porn 10 years ago. They did nothing with it, but now they used it to call in their chips. I think they want to keep dirt. Somebody said the reason you don't have the Epstein address book out there is the FBI would lose a lot of the dirt that they use to control people.
Oh, the Chinese have been, you know, doing speeches and talking about how very inexpensive it is to buy an American congressman.
Yeah, well, just blackmail them. I mean, it's the Frank Underwood narrative all over again, House of Cards. He would get dirt on people and manipulate them.
That's what Johnson did.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And now, you know, Bobby Kennedy Jr. is running for president, and he's outright saying the CIA killed my uncle. So
is Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
So is, oh gosh, I can't think of his name. He just went into prison. It's not Bannon, but the other one. But he wrote a whole book on it. So.
You're talking about the one that just got out from England?
No, I just cannot. I can see him as plain as right now, but I can't think of his name. I remember Giorgio Maloney, so you know I get a little.
You get a lot of credit.
I get a little credit for that.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's not an easy one either.
No,
Giorgio Maloney.
Yep. Yeah. So
rhymes with baloney, so that's my.
And it's Italian, so yeah.
So what did you think of the debate the other night?
You know, it's funny. I watched it. I watched it in a hotel room because we were showing my dog and winning massively and celebrating. So we stopped to watch it and I'm pacing. The hotel room had two TVs and it was on both. So I paced from one to the other back and forth. And I got hooked on politics in 1968, watching the Democratic convention and all the rioting and stuff that was going on there. So I've been watching, and I remember virtually every debate, and I was picking it apart, not in hindsight, not being surprised at all what Biden was doing. I knew about that. You knew about it. It was just like, I went, here it comes, here. Okay. I was critiquing Trump in my mind. I was not even thinking about what Biden was doing other than like, mimicking the facial expressions he was doing. And what I was going, well, Trump started out so strong. He was tight and he was disciplined and they started pushing his buttons. And slowly but surely he started getting in there, and then he went into his hyperbole, which drives me nuts, where, it was the greatest economy of all time. No economy has ever been, and that's what just irritates people. Stop.
Right.
So if I was I wish we had an ear thing. I'd be going back off on that stuff. Yeah. I walked out of it going, Biden was horrible to begin with, kind of got stronger as it went. People were saying, they were upset because they mistimed his cocktail and missed it by 30 minutes. But
I think that's true.
I do too, because he got stronger.
And if you saw the after party that he went to and he gave a speech,
and he was flying by that time. So because it was a Red Bull or something.
We saw that at the State of the Union. He was 30 minutes late, but he was loaded for bear.
They had him good and cranked up. So but all I kept watching that going was, I'm an angry old man and get off my lawn.
Yeah, I
spent the whole time. I'm an angry old man.
On that
he went too far.
Did you notice that at one point he literally, to me, looked like a cadaver? That was where he never blinked. Did you catch that?
Oh yeah, and
He literally 5 minutes.
his pupils go black too.
Right, exactly. And he just talked and he stood there and he never blinked once. And we're sitting there. My wife pointed it out, and I wasn't even noticing it because I was waiting and watching gaffes. But she noticed his eyes, and I thought, wow, that is weird. And he just
They had two videos that an expert on deep fakes showed a woman from MSNBC, I think it was, may have been CNN, but they had her testing which one's the deep fake, and they had Biden talking, and she goes, "That's the deep fake," and she goes, "Why?" He never blinked. It was like a minute and a half, and he never blinked, and she goes, "That's not the deep fake." So
yeah.
Afterwards, the video continued to roll as they brought the studio lights down. And Biden and his wife had to come down 2 very shallow steps to go over and shake hands with moderators. He could not get down those steps without holding tightly to her arm.
Right.
That tells me that guy is frail.
Well, he couldn't bend his knees. He was having to do it with his hip.
Yeah.
To lower himself.
And that's why people are thinking this is kind of a Parkinson's.
It's Parkinson's. I lost a Facebook friend finally. We've been going back and forth. She's a Democrat, a dog person. We bred a litter once, and she got one of those dogs, and we were just kind of going back and forth. And I think what broke it, where she unfriended me finally, was I said, they kept saying something about, "Oh, he's strong and all that," and I said, "The man is dying of Parkinson's." Mm-hmm. And I'll stand behind it right now. I think in 2 years, everybody go, "Oh, of course I knew he was dying of Parkinson's." No, he's dying. Everything he's doing, the way he holds his hands, the way he freezes, and the only way they can bring him back is by touching him, and it brings him back. All indicative of Parkinson's.
So what's surprising to me is you and I saw this years ago. I'd say 5 years ago, once he came back on the scene as a candidate. You could tell this guy is really going downhill. The media, New York Times, just discovered it this week.
No, they did not.
Tell me about it.
No, they did not. They've known it all along. They've been lying for him, and now they're like, oops. Greg Gutfeld, which I don't watch him very much. I gave up on Fox for the most part when they got rid of Tucker.
Yeah.
So, but Greg Gutfeld had a really great thing that he noticed, and he said they're not so upset that they saw what Biden did. They were upset that you saw and everybody saw what Biden did, and it was suddenly like, we can't fake it anymore. Yeah. Everybody was crossing their fingers that he would come through it, that they'd get the angry man, get off my lawn, would show up, and did not. The Parkinson's patient showed up, and so now they're caught between a rock and a hard place, and they're in deep doo-doo right now as far as what they have to do.
Yes.
They have to do Kamala Harris.
State of the Union, he could wait. His people could wait until he's ready to walk in that room. This was programmed live. CNN is not going to wait an extra half hour.
Well, and he gets asked questions. Nobody asks you a question during those. So that was easy. Just he had his teleprompter, and he's great. What did he do? An hour after the debate, he went where there was a teleprompter. What do we always say about when I was on the air about Obama? He couldn't speak without the teleprompter.
Yes.
We started referring to it as the Obama binky.
Yeah.
There's your binky. If you got him off of it, he was not that articulate.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
So that's the case with a lot of these guys. They read really well. They're talking heads.
Yeah. Trump was the other way around. They finally got him to do teleprompter, in his first few months really stinks at doing teleprompter. He's better now.
Yeah, it's a skill.
Yeah.
Biden did one where he came out to speak to the country after the Supreme Court. And there was virtually nobody in the room, and he would talk over here, and then he would talk over here and talk over here, and I was going, "Who you talking to?" Because the way you get away with that in the State of the Union is, I'm talking to these people, and then I'm talking to these people. No, you're talking to the teleprompter.
Right.
But if you're in a small room where the camera is, then the person to talk to is right over here.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if he'd have looked away, he'd have been lost.
Yeah.
So
I just saw this one recent gaffe where he is speaking. He gets introduced by, you saw the one, Kamala introduces him, and he says, It's 4th of July.
Oh,
And he says, ho, ho, ho.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
ho, 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 happy 4th of July. You know,
Yeah.
and then there's another one where he talks about he's the
First black
the black-
female vice president.
he
Yeah.
he introduces himself as the first black female vice. I mean, the poor guy. It's getting to the point where it's just. But the donors now, this is what's gotten bad. Donors are asking for their money back, which they're not going to give them their money back. And others are saying they will not give another penny unless they get another.
Well, and he's canceling fundraisers all over the country.
Right.
I mean, they're canceling them, so it's
right?
real.
Yeah. But they're saying unless they get another candidate in there or elevate Kamala, which is to me, that's like stepping out of the frying pan into the fire.
They're doomed if they don't, Eddie.
I know, but I mean, are you serious? Kamala Harris, you want her to give speeches and debating?
Okay, here's the deal. We were talking about all the English and the French elections,
right.
And those are parliamentary elections. And so what the Europeans do in parliamentary system is that they have all their parties, all the factions within the parties break into separate parties. And then they have elections, and then they try to cobble together a majority out of that. The unique thing about the American system is we have the two-party system where we create our alliances ahead of the election, not after the election. So you've got the Democrat. I mean, the Republicans right now are torn between the country club, establishments and the populist wing of the party. It's two major factions. Could you break it up into anything smaller? Maybe some neocons that support wars and such. Maybe
the religious right at times.
The religious right, but that's still fine.
Maybe
That's
the
libertarian at times.
Where they're the libertarians.
White supremacists at times.
Yeah, I've known of one or two in Louisiana.
No, you're right.
I'm messing with
I'm
you.
saying there's little spikes of this or that.
But you get my point.
Yeah.
They had 10 people on the stage with the former Great Britain Prime Minister when she got announced she'd lost. So they had the 10 factions. Okay, so that we got very few in the Republicans. And I used to be a Democrat long time ago, and I was the only precinct manager of both precinct 113, both Republican and Democrat precinct manager. This is back before the 90s, in the 80s and such. And it was run, they always talk about the three stools of the Democratic Party, which is the teachers, the attorneys, and now I've forgotten the other one. And the labor unions. Thank you. And the labor unions. But it's broken up now. They've gone into identity politics so much that right now, one of the reasons Trump's winning is he's starting to win African-American males under the age of 40 or 50 even. But the blacks over 50 are extremely loyal still. But the black women across the board are still Biden.
Yeah,
part of that because he put Harris in as the vice president. If you hear anybody try to take Kamala Harris out of it, they're going to lose that black coalition, which is a large portion of that coalition.
It's even more influential than the percent they are. They are the influential part.
They're certainly a vocal part.
Yes,
right, but you gain that faction of the black vote. However, you'll probably lose such a major faction of everything else. In other words, your white vote, your Asian vote, your Hispanic vote, that we can't.
We're talking tactics, not strategy. You always talk about me tactics, not
right.
wait.
Okay, there we go.
Taking in your mind a picture of when they shoot during the Republican Party, when they shoot back to the people in the crowd, what do you see?
Right.
A lot of white
men,
a lot of white women too. Right. I've been there. My wife's been a delegate. I've never been. I've been in
it's becoming more female, and it's becoming younger. So.
But anyway, you shoot to the Democrats.
Right.
It's an amazing amount of black women.
Yeah, you're
amazingly.
Right.
So who's going to be making the decisions? We're not talking about the election now. We're talking about how can you get through.
I agree.
Selecting.
Yeah,
and that person's got to be. It's got to be Kamala because here's the other problem. I spent 3 months on KCFO when I guest with Jeff Brook-Larry there, talking about the problem and the delicious problem they've had since October of last year with Israel is that the Jews are a small but very influential faction within the Democrat.
The funding people too.
Big part of the funding, very important in certain states, Florida, Connecticut, and such. Then you have Michigan, which everybody says if you don't win Michigan or all three, the Democrats have to win Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania to win. They called it the blue wall. Michigan is hugely Muslim now. Dearborn is hugely Muslim.
Yeah.
So it's delicious to watch the Biden administration trying to keep both warring factions in their party happy. At a certain point, they made the decision that they were going to go the Palestinian way, because what they started thinking, and I went back and looked at the numbers just out of curiosity, is you look at Florida, the number of Jewish voters in Florida is not that substantial, but it could cost them winning there, but they're not going to win it anyway. They're not going to win Florida, so that doesn't matter. Go to Connecticut, go to Jersey, go to New York. They're a powerful money faction there, but they're not going to lose that anyway.
Yeah,
even without them. California, the same thing. So if you start looking at the states where they are a voting bloc, an important voting bloc, they can't. So they're going to lose either the Islamists or the Jewish vote, and now you're going to take the black women out. Even if you take half the black women out, plus the black males going over to Trump, they're doomed. You're looking at a landslide.
So you're saying tactically, they're going to stick with the Palestinians.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And black women.
They have no chance.
Yeah. Well, and to me, you look at Ilhan Omar as a perfect illustration of it. See, you didn't mention Minnesota, but Minnesota is very much that way. I mean, it's a Muslim black woman that's a congressman from the Twin Cities.
But that's an aberration. I mean, we're talking about your average black mother that's out there, or the small business owner, or women small business owner. They're, in a lot of respects, I'm constantly going, why are the small business owners working for the Democrats so hard? It's identity politics. It's the only reason, because if they were really looking at their own best interest, they'd be a Republican, because the Democrats have been declaring war on the small businesses. Look what they did in COVID policy. They shut all the small businesses down, but they let the big ones stay afloat.
Yeah.
So
Hispanics are figuring it out.
Hispanics are figuring it out. You're starting to see Asians figuring it out. I just saw a report that more and more people are comfortable now saying that they'll vote for Trump. So
if you're a black man, you're figuring it out.
Yeah. Seemingly. Not all. We're only talking 30%.
Yeah, right.
But that's huge. It was 9 before.
Right. Oh, yeah. They say if he gets over 22% of the black vote, it's over.
Yeah.
And then
it's over.
Yeah.
The only way that cannot be over is Michelle Obama.
Right. And if you get and the other thing then is Hispanics, though. See, he's up to I think almost 50%. He's in the 40s, mid to high 40s among Hispanics now.
Yeah.
Because even the voting citizenry, the Hispanic citizenry, they're not happy with the immigration policy.
Okay, this goes right into it. Who's Trump going to pick for VP?
Who do I want him to pick, or who is he going to pick?
Both.
This will be interesting.
Whatever order you want.
I have two that I would be ecstatic if he picked.
Pick the first one.
Vivek.
Okay. You? Who did you say?
Well, I was with you, Vivek. Okay. Is who I want.
Marco.
It won't happen.
You want Marco?
Okay.
Let me go with my second one, and then I'll tell you why Marco's a bad choice.
Okay.
My second one's Byron Donalds. Okay. Here's your problem. They're both from Florida. Where's Trump live now?
In Florida.
What does the Constitution say about vice president and the president coming from the same state?
Well, there's nothing in the national constitution. Now, the problem is the Florida Constitution.
State laws. That's what I heard.
Yeah, it's the state. It's the state law.
I think it's the Constitution.
Pull that up.
No,
anyway.
No, because I saw a whole thing on that. The problem is this Florida. So that would be a problem.
Anyway,
but it'd be the same problem with Byron.
Marco is who I ended up voting for in the primary in 2016. Marco is, upon hindsight, he's establishment as can be.
Yeah, I don't know.
He
seems
went
to have
up. He
gotten-
went up and caught Potomac fever. He was
Right.
he
12th Amendment.
yeah.
What does it say?
It says, however, 12th Amendment, the Constitution states that the presidential and vice presidential candidates running on the same ticket shall not be an inhabitant of the same state with themselves.
Thank you. I couldn't remember the number, but I was
And
pretty
it
sure
was
of it.
when we changed the way we select president and vice president. We
Okay.
change it to a ticket.
So
But
now
the
you
22nd Amendment changed that. I'm just messing with you. I was gonna make you go down.
well, you guys had me doubting myself.
No,
for
I
some
know.
moment, but,
Well, that's good, Chris. We've got the right person.
Changes
So,
everything.
But
now.
that does change things. So that's weird. That
they'd have to
because-
quit their job. And normally, Marco could run as a senator and maintain his Senate position if he lost. Okay. Same with Byron Donalds. He could. Well, no, he'd have to give it up because he would have to not run for reelection. But so the danger is losing. Marco would have to quit the Senate because he can't move to another state and still represent.
so he could
Florida.
resign.
But he loses his job,
Or
and he loses any chance he has to become the governor when DeSantis leaves.
or Trump could just move back.
You think he's going to move back to Manhattan with what the way Manhattan's treating him in the courts?
That's a different point. That's will he?
Oh man!
Can
Suddenly
he?
he becomes
Then he looks like a carpet.
Well,
beggar.
no, but
No.
Marco, it might be worth his while to do so if his sights are set on becoming president next time, win or lose. He puts himself in a good position because then he could focus the next 4 years on positioning himself for that or running for governor.
Who do I think he's going to pick?
Yeah, who do you?
Burgum.
See, now that's the
I
guy.
hope not.
Back early on in Iowa, Burgum was the one that got booed off the stage because he said Trump is a felon.
He's a fellow millionaire.
Yeah, I'm just saying how.
Trump is looking at what happens and who could be the president after
Yeah, but
him.
who-
And
But what does where's he? Iowa?
he's
No.
from North Dakota.
North Dakota. I'm sorry, North Dakota. I was in
Yeah.
Idaho.
All
What
three
does it
vote-
bring to? Yeah,
electoral votes?
exactly. It doesn't bring him anything. So
Well, that's not as big a deal as it used to be. The
Oh.
geographics.
I don't know.
JD Vance is also.
Oh,
on
now
there.
JD. would be
JD,
a
I'm
good one.
kind of.
JD's a good one.
Yeah. But yeah.
I like JD.
I'm thinking JD now.
Personally,
Given
I
this,
said it on the radio before. I'll say it on streaming. He needs Vivek or Donalds, someone like them that will have his back and scares.
McDonald's has the same problem. Then
Yeah,
that
he'd have to.
Marco.
He'd have to give it up. It's easier to give up a House seat than it is a Senate seat.
unless you've been a senator so long, you don't need it anymore, and your aspirations are to be president in the
Could be,
future.
but
so-
he's not going to. He doesn't have the personality to win.
You don't think Marco does?
No.
Oh man, I
No.
watched him. Hey, you're thinking of the old Marco. Have you seen him lately?
I have, but he still doesn't. He'll do what DeSantis did that hurt him. He will go and he will start kowtowing to the establishment to get the money. And Vivek is the guy right now that scares them, because if Vivek becomes president, they won't assassinate Trump or try to impeach him or whatever if Vivek is in there, because he's flat said, I'm going to shut down the Department of Education. I'm going to shut down, and he means it.
Yeah.
So they're more afraid of him. Now watch them spend the next 4 years doing everything they can to destroy Vivek.
Yeah.
So what you want to see lawfare? Some things are going to start popping up on him. You know, he shot a dog. It worked really well to take Chrissy Nome out. So they'll find something in his when he was cruel to an animal or whatever. Who knows? But they're going to try to stop Vivek.
But if Donald's, to me, it's more plausible that Donald's would give up his residency and his office for it. Because, I mean, those guys are up every 2 years.
I'll tell you, Donald's has a big problem. If you're trying to get the black vote, the black female
I'm not
vote.
necessarily trying to get the black vote.
No. What I'm saying is, what does Donald's really bring?
Street fighter.
Yes, but his problem is he's got a white wife. And that would probably make black women, if we're just going to be down to black women, would be very angry.
I am not looking at Byron Donalds as go get the black vote. I'm looking at him as a guy who can debate and take whoever they pick to be Kamala's will take
Okay,
him
exactly.
apart.
But see, I think Marco could do the same thing. And Byron is not going to bring us that much because they're going to be mad at him because he's an Uncle Tom. He's married to a white woman. He's a this.
I know Marco is probably Catholic, but if you needed to get a speaker to come to speak and draw people, would you rather have a white Methodist minister or a black Baptist, Southern Baptist preacher? Donalds comes across. I mean, he's such an articulately brilliant speaker. He can go off. You could put three bullet points in front of him, and he could go for 30 minutes. Same with Vivek. Same with Vivek. They're incredible. And this is what I've been saying for years too. It's not original to me, but I don't hear very many people saying it. But I've always said, when you're talking about governor's races, presidential races, and mayoral races, I talked about this for mayor. People generally don't vote policy. They vote since 1960, since Kennedy Nixon, they cast them for television. It's who do I want to see on television?
Right.
Who have two of the big successful Republicans been, other than the Bushes lately? It's been Trump and it's been Reagan. Both did TV. Both, Reagan did movies, but he was Death Valley Days and all of that stuff that he did.
Guild.
Right. Yep. So you cast him for TV. Byron Donalds is good TV. Vivek Ramaswamy is good TV.
I think Marco is
the value of him being black, if I can for a second, is it stops the racism argument.
It does. Yeah, they've got way more mileage than they should out of it.
Okay, but the Hispanic aspect, he would be the first Hispanic vice president, and that to me trumps being the first.
That's true. I'll give you that
because we've had a black vice president. We've had a black president.
That's a good point.
So now we would have a Hispanic. He can get up and start speaking Spanish. He can garner more of that Hispanic vote. Yeah. And you're able to watch our little debate here. So you chime in.
Yeah, because Marco, all along the Hispanic areas, he could do rallies there where he's speaking to them in their language.
He can just do totally Hispanic
I know. Yeah,
rallies.
You've got that novelty, Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah. I'll give you that.
And we've been there, done that. We've had a black president.
Yeah.
Black vice president isn't anything big deal. We've had a black woman vice president, and the black male vice presidential candidate you're talking about now has a white wife, which people are gonna with black women. You're actually it's a bigger hindrance. Same with what's his name, the guy from South Carolina.
Tim Scott.
Tim Scott, who's actually my cousin, and I can't remember his name. But anyway,
I have a family connection to Tom Cotton. So
well, there we go. Yeah. So you're actually hurting yourself by picking these guys instead of helping
Tim Scott. Jeff Brooklary loves Tim Scott, wants him to be the pick. And I keep going, he's too mamby-pamby. He's just sort of Tim. He just comes across. Listen, we're casting for television.
I hate to say this more than anything, but especially since I get really ticked off at the disparagement of the name Uncle Tom.
Yeah.
Because I've actually read the book. And it is the opposite of what it is characterized as. Yeah. But taking their definition of an Uncle Tom, you put a picture of Tim Scott up, and he epitomizes the picture of Uncle Tom.
I just see him as
I think he's a good guy.
He's a nerd.
Yeah, I think he's a great person. He's a great senator. I like the guy. Like I said, I'm related to the guy. But I'm speaking now from the black community, the hood community, the people that we're trying to get to vote. Tim Scott would not be a good choice.
Yeah, Darren Gantz, we met with him yesterday, Eddie and I. He likes this guy, Lieutenant Governor of North Carolina. Mark Robinson.
He's sharp, but he's good. He hasn't been there very long.
Right. And he's a preacher, and boy, can he deliver. He's the oratory guy. Interesting. all 400 pounds of them. You know?
Oh, he's like Byron Donalds is too. It's a guy who can get up there and just orate for that's
the good thing about
indispensable.
this guy is so far he would be so fresh that they wouldn't have any ammo on him.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. I guarantee you they've got.
The other side of that is he's so fresh he hasn't been truly vetted.
Yeah, I know.
That's true too.
Trump's had a long time to
Yeah.
do vetting.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah.
And so anyway, hey, you big OSU fan, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you think of your big? Well, what we used to call the Big 12. Now they're saying it might become the All-State Big 12.
The All-State Big 12.
Or the All-State 12. Yeah.
Yeah, or whatever.
Whatever it takes to compete.
What do you think of this whole merry-go-round we got going on college sports?
It's unfortunate. I think it's going way too much towards money. And one of the things that at least they kind of faked it well was that it wasn't all about money. It was about a person's chance to get an education and that type of thing. The pageantry is going to be gone. We're dropping down to 3 tiers of football now instead of 2. It's divided, regional. Bedlam's dead in football.
Right.
I'm at the point where, sorry, I'm going to probably lose some fans here, but Oklahoma made me so angry that I have not watched an OU Sooner football game except for the OSU game, and have no plans to ever watch them again.
I have some of those same sentiments.
I'm not going to go out and support that money grubbing, and I don't think OU was the one that initiated it. I think Texas dragged them along to a certain degree. I think a large part of the fan base is going to be very upset because I think they're going to be continually averaging about 8-4 seasons. And that doesn't wash very well with the average Sooner fan. And the irony may be that a whole lot of people, if they go 8-4 and OSU keeps going 10-2, a lot of those fans may swing over, but we'll see.
Bad?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, well,
it's football. It's football.
Aren't you an alum of OU?
OSU. I started my first 2 years there. My wife and I met there, and we quit school and got married, and we finished Northeastern.
It's interesting you bring that up because I was reading an article this morning. I don't know which sports mag this was, but they had Joe Castiglione from the athletic director at OU, and he was ragging on the former coach who went to USC, Lincoln Riley.
Not Lakin Riley.
No, Lincoln Riley.
Getting that wrong can get you in a lot of trouble.
Right, exactly. Yeah. He was ragging on Lincoln Riley in this article, and because Lincoln did not want to go to the SEC. That's why he left. That's the reason that Lincoln Riley left, because he did, and they even talk about it in the article. But anyway, he was getting on him about having a 10-2 record or something, and losing this game to OSU. And
it's a great game.
Yeah, well, and I had to point out, I said, well, that's interesting that this guy is casting shade on Lincoln Riley. I seem to remember this game where Bob Stoops punted with seconds left to Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek ran it back for a touchdown and beat Bob Stoops. That was a real smart move, but there's such a
they're all about loyalty. I mean, that was disloyalty. I was literally sitting with my OU Sooner brother-in-law in his house at his dinner table, and we know not to talk about. We just won the game the night before. And so we weren't talking about it. We weren't talking football. And all of a sudden I got that doot on my phone and ESPN, and I look down and I go, says here, Lincoln Riley's leaving for USC. And he goes, I don't trust anything. It depends on the source. I don't trust it. I'll wait to see till ESPN says it. And I went,
that is
it's ESPN, brother. So yeah, they're all about loyalty. It was the first time one of their coaches left to go somewhere else, and it was
but see, here's what,
and that's the new football. That's the new football. It's about money and record.
But here's what bothers me about that whole deal is, see, Lincoln, they got on him that he's disloyal, et cetera, but they have no problem with stealing and I don't call it stealing, because it's just the game. but they can take the last 3 quarterbacks they got were all transfers from A&M.
Took Trace Ford from Oklahoma State.
And then what's his name from Alabama? Who's it with the Eagles? Jalen.
Yeah.
And Kyler.
Yeah.
What's his name? The other Heisman Trophy winner.
Murray. And then Baker.
No, Baker, who they came from Texas Tech.
Yeah. Which one? Where'd they come?
Texas Tech. So you know, it's okay to have all these people come, but don't dare. You know, Caleb Williams goes to SC. And oh my God, you know, how dare him?
The other guy that went to South Carolina, can't think of his name right now.
Oh yeah, also, but nobody cares about him because he had lost his job anyway.
Right.
But no, what I'm saying is, like you said, there's a loyalty situation that only goes one way, and whereas you know. If they leave,
I'm not gonna diss him for that because I'm just as bad.
Well,
you know.
But see, I'm not like that. I love OU, I love OSU because I'm neutral. But I get really upset if you do that. Like if Tech did that, you know, when Rob and then complained about losing so and so and so and so. I'd get on. I said, you have nothing to bark about.
Well, where did OSU's current quarterback come from?
I know.
Michigan by
the Tech. Yeah, he's a Tech. But in his case, he couldn't play anymore. He had lost his starting job anyway.
Well, here's the deal.
He was injured. He almost died his freshman year, and then he just never could win his job back. Went to Michigan, and I'm happy for him.
Punctured lung, wasn't it?
Yeah,
he kept puncturing his lung.
Yeah, and then I think he had a neck injury. He got injured like 2 years in a row, and I'm thrilled. I'm rooting for the guy. See, in that case, I'm totally rooting. I'm getting goosebumps. I'm rooting for the guy.
What you've got right now is complete free agency. Everybody's on a 1-year deal, and we have no salary cap. Everybody can get whatever deal they can get.
Right. Which is fine if you're going to have free agency, but then don't gripe about it that when somebody does it to you. That's all I'm saying.
About a year ago, Mike Gundy said something, and it kind of caught a little national attention, but not much. But he basically said, we need to start looking at it. If we bring these kids in and we develop them and put them through our strength and conditioning program and all that, then we should be able to put them on contract. And I think that's going to be the big deal. He's sort of Nostradamus in some of those things, and I think that's what they're going to see. Is it's like you can come here,
you got to buy him, like they do in the pros. In other words, we got a kid, and we're going to give him let's say he's choosing right now between us and Mississippi, we'll say, which is kind of okay. So he's trying to choose between those two, and we're saying. We're more likely to play you sooner. You're going to go sit on the bench there, and if you don't make it, you're going to come back to us anyway, or somebody like us. So it's like we're going to get you in here. We're going to put you through a redshirt year. We're going to put you through our strength and conditioning program. We're going to teach you, but you're going to get on the field faster. We're providing you that. But what's happening now is he gets put on the field faster, makes a name for himself, and then Mississippi comes and writes the check. Right.
Now it's like we've done all that.
Right.
You either have Mississippi compensate us like the pros
that's what I'm saying.
Or something, or you put them on contract and say you're here for 3 years. Then you can jump, but you got to be here for 3 years.
But then what I'm saying, so then Ole Miss can buy out his contract.
Sure.
Right.
And then compensate.
Right. Oh, I agree.
All right. I want to see what you guys, how accurate you can guess. Who is the #1 NIL recipient right now in college football?
College football?
No, excuse me, in college.
Is it a female?
Yeah, I think it was. The last I heard, it was a gymnast.
That's number 2.
LSU.
Livy Dunn.
Livy Dunn. Yeah, Livy Dunn. Yeah, I knew it. LSU.
She's pretty.
Yeah,
she's a gymnast.
Yeah,
you know, and she always was an internet, social media influencer.
She's not the top gymnast on the squad.
No, but she's the prettiest.
Yeah, she has squads of young kids following her whenever she shows up. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and she's actually a homeschool kid, Becca, Christian homeschool. But the #1 is Shedeur Sanders.
Oh yeah, I was going to say that.
I did not know that. And do you know the other 2 boys that? Well, I say boys. Deion Sanders. His other son, and then this one that he calls his adopted son. All 3 of those guys are in the top 20.
Now, did 2 of them leave the team?
No,
They're still on
they're
there?
still
Still there.
listed. Yeah.
Okay, I thought
Everybody else
but-
left the team. Everybody else left
I
the
thought
team.
one or two of them left.
There was a misleading headline
Oh.
that says what's next. That's because Shadur's in his last year of eligibility
Right.
to play. So kind of what's next for him. But it's really interesting. Yeah, I looked at On3 website has the top 100.
What happened to what's his name? The Manning. What's his name?
Arch.
Arch.
Yeah.
Yeah, Arch.
He's still
He was number one. He was ahead of Shadur.
Yeah, Arch Manning's number 3.
Oh, so he dropped
Yeah.
down. I guess
He
when
said-
he left
Well,
Texas.
his
0.8
Maserati was a rental, not a So
Now, Livy Dunn, who we talked about, she keeps going up. Here in a few weeks, she could be higher because she can keep signing more and more contracts.
Right.
A week ago, she was at 3.1. Now she's at 3.9 million per year.
And what is
And
Shadur?
Shadur is at 4.6.
Oh yeah, so she.
So, Colorado may be an underachiever as a football team.
that's because they can't keep players around because he's
Yeah,
their coach is certifiably nuts.
But you know
not a-
what though? See, the Big 12 should, if they were smart, they should play into that because Colorado, with that notoriety with
Yeah.
Dion and these guys, what do they call it? Rising tide
Yeah.
lifts all ships.
Yep.
See, if they're smart, you don't. It's like what's her name? The basketball player, the female basketball player, the hot one right now,
Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark.
Mhm.
Okay, she is lifting the entire WNBA
Yeah.
right now, and yet you got these other crazy females that want to hate her,
Yes. they
and
hate on her.
you're biting the hand that feeds you. So the Big 12 needs to embrace
Well,
Dion,
it's like
Shadur.
what Tiger Woods did to the PGA.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All of
Yeah.
that. They need to embrace it, and they need to find out ways that Shadur and Dion can elevate the league and find others to help with that within the conference.
Actually, the best way you can elevate the league is by getting beat. I
Getting
think-
beat.
Yeah, I think Colorado is going to be very mediocre this year.
Well, I hope not. And I'm not a fan. I mean, I'm not a Colorado fan, but I want them to play tough, and I want them to be
They'll play
competitive.
tough.
And
They're going to finish 6-6.
Well, see,
Mark it down.
well, I don't know, but so Utah is always good. So Utah right now is probably ranked number one anyway.
I would
They got the easiest schedule. I don't know.
Do they have an
I don't
easy
know who
schedule
they
too?
paid.
But see,
Look
the
at
other
who-
one.
Yeah.
But then you throw in there Ollie from OSU, Heisman, Ollie Gordon, as the Heisman front runner. I mean, the guy is
front
awesome.
runner from the Big 12. He's
Nationally for the Heisman Trophy.
He's not the number one front runner. No.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He's
I
the
don't know
number
who's
one.
that.
That's
He was in the
ESPN, but
run-
That's all
What I saw is-
prognostic.
He
what I
was
saw is
no,
like-
he was in the mix last year.
I agree.
He was number 2.
No, I agree.
He was not number 2.
I think he was.
No, he was about 6th.
Well, in the
No,
vote,
he was number 3, I think, because you had
No.
Caleb.
No.
You had Caleb. Then you
Man with
had
computer, look that up.
yeah. Look that up.
That,
well, I mean,
Ollie
in the
Gordon.
middle, I wanted to point out some other.
He wasn't
things.
even invited
So-
to New York.
right.
Ollie was not invited to New
He
York.
was not invited to New York.
No. Remember,
Well,
he-
no,
he
for the
came-
draft.
No, he was not invited
For the
for the Heisman. Which
Well, then they should have. See, this is what ticks me off so bad that it's about the conference that there's such a bias against the Big 12.
the Big 12's won a lot of Heismans.
they
No.
have, but ESPN keeps down them because ESPN owns ESPN.
Well, you
Yeah.
know what they did to Barry Sanders? I remember I love Keith Jackson. Keith Jackson. You
Yeah.
know, I loved him. But I remember being so angry at him I could scream because all he would do when he was on there was he was talking about it was Troy Aikman and Calvin Pete.
Yeah.
That was Rodney Pete.
Rodney
Pete.
Yeah.
And those two, because they were from the Pac-12.
Yeah, I know.
But Chris, by the way, Chris fits right in. You're arguing just like that, bringing it.
Yeah, I couldn't get an opinion out of him until we talked sports.
This makes the show better. But see the difference. ABC now owns the SEC part of it.
ESPN.
Okay, ESPN.
Disney.
Well, and
Disney.
yeah, Yeah, you got
Disney.
ABC, ESPN. I mean, ABC, Disney, ESPN. They're all the same.
Yeah.
And
It's
and then
Disney.
and they, for some reason, I don't know why, but they love the Big Ten. I don't know if they got money in the Big Ten too.
Well, that's where the viewers are.
Yeah,
They
but
want into the Big Ten.
they really destroyed the Pac-12. They literally destroyed the Pac-12,
Mhm.
and because they wanted those teams to end up
Mhm.
in the Big Ten or in the Big 12 teams over in the SEC.
Yeah.
The two teams. It reminds me of record companies. It reminds me of record labels. Dave and I know a little bit about that,
Mhm.
but they basically cherry picked the two teams out of the
Mhm.
Big 12 that they wanted in the SEC. And then the two that, or I guess it's four that they picked out of the Pac-12 that they took into the Big Ten.
Yeah.
So, but this is how nasty that whole deal is. But Ollie Gordon, that's just
He'll get his
ridiculous.
due this
No,
year.
but it's ridiculous that that's what everybody says, but he could be injured. He could, it's like, what was the OU running back who never won the Heisman?
Samaje Perine.
No. Oh my goodness. Before Samaje, he went Minnesota. You should know.
Oh, Adrian.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because he was a
Adrian
freshman the year he should have won it, and then he never did win it. He never could
Adrian
come.
never won it.
Nope. Adrian
Running
never
backs
got
don't
to-
win unless they do something
Well,
fantastic.
but he should have won his freshman year, but they said, "Oh, he's a freshman." He's sorry.
Yeah, but here's what I'm getting at here.
I'm sorry. I
Number
digress.
4 is, again, this Travis Hunter, the adopted son,
Right.
for all practicals, of Deion Sanders. But then get this. Arch Manning was the backup quarterback at Texas, was 3. The starting quarterback's number 5, Quinn Ewers, is $1.9 million. And it's just really interesting to see. Dylan Gabriel, that was one we were talking about. He's now at Oregon.
Yeah, he went to Oregon.
1.5 million. And so it's really interesting to see this jockeying for the big payoff.
and how many of them are quarterbacks?
Most of these.
Yeah,
guys.
that's how
Well, it's all.
championships are won.
It's also where
running
you.
backs.
It's also where you play.
Yeah.
It's the teams.
Well, but yeah, running. But Barry Sanders played for the number 3 team in the Big 8.
No. This is NIL.
I know,
We're
but I'm
talking
just
NIL.
saying, what kind of money would he have been making? Not much.
Travis Hunter is a defensive.
But he's an all-around player. He
He
can play
is.
both ways.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that makes him fascinating and valuable.
One unique thing in that.
Yeah.
So, and then, to see this Livy Dunn, out of gymnastics, and there's no softball.
Have you ever seen her?
Well, I've seen pictures of her.
Yeah,
She's
that's
really
right.
cute.
But see, she's model material. So
Yeah.
she's a double hitter. She's model and she's an athlete.
Mhm.
If you were 16, you'd have a completely different idea.
I know.
That's it.
And
I have
she's
to
the
tell you a
role
funny story. I went to
model. It's why they went after what's her name? The singer that's dating the Kansas City guy.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah. She brought a lot in from a whole sector that didn't follow us.
And we'll leave a second.
Yeah.
She leaves.
I
so,
was
yeah.
in Dallas at my niece's and her 2 boys.
Mhm.
One's sophomore in high school and the other one's in middle school.
Mhm.
And I was telling them about this girl who's drawn all these people. And she said, well, I've never heard. And her mother was my sister-in-law. They were there. I never heard of this girl. And the 2 boys chirped her, "Oh, Livy Dunn."
Yeah.
An 8th grader and
She's a
a
cutie.
10th
Yeah,
grader.
that's right.
These 2 boys knew exactly who it was. And I said,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah,
And
you're not on
they
Instagram
both
or
turned
TikTok.
around. They
The
both
girls,
turned
the girls want to be her, and the boys want to
Yeah.
be with her.
That's the
Very
PG
well put.
version.
Yeah.
Thank you, crap.
Be
I
with
was going to
her.
leave it hanging there, but that was not a bad deal.
Yeah. So no. So and she's not a great gymnast, but I mean she's an okay. She's a team member. Let's just
Yeah.
put it that way.
Yeah.
On the other
I want to
side.
see you stand on a balance beam.
Well, that's true.
But Eddie, you've been watching the qualifiers for track and field.
It's
this
over.
last week.
So,
And
yeah.
are you happy with who got on for
Not,
the Olympics? We're
not
talking about.
really. Not
Yeah.
really. I mean, it is what it is. The
Mhm.
winners won and all, but I'm not satisfied that that happy. We'll see. We'll see what happens when we get it. To me, it's kind of a ho-hum team. There's nothing that great about
Yeah.
it. So we'll see. The girl, I can't think of her name right now. That
The
won
Kentucky runner.
the one. No. The one that won the 100 meters, and then she took like third. She just barely got into the 200. But
Sha'Carri Richardson.
yeah. Sha'Carri Richardson.
You're-
She was booted out
Man
last
of the
time.
world, you know things.
Yeah, she was booted
I'm
out last time
retired.
for being
I
high
have time.
for marijuana.
Oh,
But this time she totally cleaned up. I guess Nike told her she needs to clean up her act.
mhm. Yeah, she's making Nike look bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she did, and now she's back at the top of her game. And so they think she'll beat the Jamaicans.
Mhm.
And so we'll see how it goes when it comes around. But she's trying. I mean, you can tell she's trying to represent well. So
Yeah.
we'll see. What bothers me, and this is something we get in all the time, it's the same as basketball with Caitlin Clark. There is, and it's talked about in sports right now a lot, and that is this cabal of Black women and in athletics, that they think they own athletics, and it's theirs to
Domain,
do it. Yeah, it's their domain to choose who gets to participate in it. Now, particularly in certain area, of course, the long distance, pole vaulting, etc. The field track events are not their thing. But when it comes to sprinting and up to the 400 meters, white girls aren't supposed to win, or Asians either, because you don't see any Asians in there.
You mentioned pole vaulting. You mentioned NIL. If Ricky Fowler's wife would have been, if they'd had NIL when she was in college, she'd have been a millionaire.
Really?
She was on a lot of boys' posters, and she was a pole vaulter.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So, what that's what upsets me, that there's this the way it's not about them winning. It's about the way they treat the white girls and others that are in there. It's like they literally shun them. I mean, it's despicable.
Larry Bird
to me.
ran into some of the same
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly. It's the same thing.
So, yeah.
But
and how did he win their respect? Kick their butts.
Well, yeah, exactly.
So,
and that's what's going to happen. Even you can't keep it out. That some of the fastest, like I keep reading, there's these 8th graders, these middle schoolers now, white girls that are just tearing it up.
Oh,
they're coming up, and in another 6 years, you're going to see a change. And it's the same thing in football.
Is
you're
it
going to see
Femke Bowl, and there's a whole bunch of
overseas.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of Europeans
right. They're
starting to
right, and it's what it is. It's competition makes for greater athletes.
Well,
you had the Nazi thing. What happened? The Nazis, the white Aryan race, got lazy. They just assumed they're the super race, so we don't have to work it as hard. We're just naturally better than everybody else, so we're going to beat them. And I think that's what's happened with the Black community. Now they just think, well, we're Black girls, we're Black guys, we're just going to be the fastest. And all of a sudden, you've got white kids that realize, oh, we're the best basketball players, we're the best this, and you got these Eastern European guys coming up that. Hey, there's money to be made over here, or Chinese.
There's the difference. And the other part of it is it's not how much melanin is in your skin. It's how much fast twitch for sprinting. How many fast twitch muscle fibers do you have compared to slow twitch? And what's happening, I would say why you're starting to see more and more white girls starting to do it is women's soccer. Is that soccer was caused, they have to run, they have to sprint, they develop, and you start being able to identify through that. It was always like, okay, we've got the Black girl, let's move her towards track. If you're a coach or whatever, but now you're so many girls are coming through soccer that you're finding them that have high percentages and they can come in there and run with anybody.
Right. And that's how,
but it's how do you identify them? How can coaches find them?
Right. And that's how this girl, I can't think of her name now, that was she won the NCAA 2 years ago, and she got injured last year.
From Kentucky.
From Kentucky,
Yeah.
yeah. And she won everything
can't think
2
of her
years
name.
ago. But anyway, she started as a soccer player,
Yeah.
and
Okay. I
got
didn't know that.
she got a
Yeah.
scholarship to Kentucky as a soccer player. But the track coach saw her and said, "I want you to come out."
Yeah.
And she ended up winning the NCAA 100, 200 meter.
Abby Steiner.
Abby Steiner.
yeah.
She won the championship.
So I didn't know she started soccer, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah, she
So
was a
that's
soccer star.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
None of you guys are patting my back, so I will.
it's a good thing we talked politics first, because I mean, we might not have got to it if we'd started with sports here. All of a sudden,
No,
we got
I'll always
a-
talk politics. It'll always end
Anyway.
up at politics.
This guy knows it all.
Yeah. There is
Just ask him.
in the NIL top 100.
I'm retired. I have time.
Yeah,
I
just
walk a lot. I walk 9 miles a day, so I've got
Yeah.
this thing in front of me constantly.
in
With
NIL.
earbuds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, top 100. There is a track and field guy, and from Texas, Longhorns, almost $1 million. What disappoints me is what's become my real passion of joy watching in college sports is women's softball. Not a one of them made it. I mean,
I have to forget we were on camera because I snarled slightly when you said it. But okay. I'll hide those.
just watching what OU has done. It's probably the one reason I don't totally hate OU for leaving the Big 12. I'm just so impressed with the quality, the character of that program. And,
Oh, yeah. My wife and I watched the playoffs and everything.
And the one gal I was looking for who may end up on this list is Kennedy, the pitcher out of Topeka that's been at Stanford. She is named the top softball player in college sports.
She transferred.
She's transferred. She's in the portal. And boy, there's a lot of jockeying. And right now, OU is needing to fill pitchers.
Well, I thought I heard she did transfer.
I haven't gotten that officially yet, but there's a lot of rumors. So.
You finally found a topic that'll shut me up. Volleyball, I get. Women's volleyball, I get.
Yeah, see, that didn't make it at all either. So.
Yeah, we haven't gotten there yet. I haven't been watching volleyball. But anyway, sports, it's an interesting discussion. I don't know if you remember, Chris, back around the turn of the century, or you had Tim Gill playing for him, and Bill Self was the coach. And
Tim, I go back to Ken Trickey and Richard Fuqua, but okay.
Oh yeah, way back. Okay. So, but Tim Gill and this Rocky, I can't remember Rocky.
Calamus.
No.
Football.
He was football. Yeah, Rocky something. But anyway, they wanted
they called him.
Yeah, they wanted to transfer to. Tim was going to go to Arkansas, and Rocky was going to go to Southern Illinois, and the town just ripped him, and Bill Self wouldn't let him go.
The media was horrible,
and Bill Self wouldn't release them from their commitment, because you couldn't in those days yet do that. So Bill was against it. The school was against it, but yeah, like you said, the local media here, it was just horrible. So finally, Nolan Richardson said, "Hey guys, listen, I want to help you. I'd love it. I'd love for you to transfer here. Tim, you're a great player, but they're gonna just butcher you and you won't get any peace. So I suggest you just stay there for your final 2 years or year." And so they relented and they backed down. 2 weeks later, it's announced Bill Self's going to TU. ORU got,
and the media celebrated.
Yeah, ORU got $1 million.
Yeah, buy out the contract.
Self got nice big contract with TU, and the rest is history. He goes to KU after a couple of years and the whole deal. But
why did it take so long for OSU to get a new basketball coach? Because they were trying to get Bill Self.
Oh yeah, but what happened? So I wrote an article. This was actually, I think it was 1998, must have been 98 when I wrote an article. It said the student athlete, the last slave class.
Mhm.
And what I did, because I was saying, you know, coaches can go anywhere they want. They can do whatever they want for more money, etc. But the student athlete is locked in in their commitment. But it says, I hate the fact that one day this is going to change. Players are going to be paid, and it's going to be like the professional leagues. And I don't want to see it coming, but I won't be against it.
Well,
and it is coming. And sure, so here we are today. I hate it. Just like I said, I hate it, but I can't say anything against it because I told them they asked for it and they got it, because you cannot treat athletes, no matter what class, a certain way and then treat coaches a different way.
well, what's the percentage of kids that enter the transfer portal and don't land somewhere else,
Yeah, that's a
or
problem.
land somewhere worse?
Well, yeah, no, that may
You'll
be,
lose your
but
scholarship.
that may be, but that's at least that's a free market. That's a free market situation.
Here's the question that I thought you guys might ask when we were talking about OSU sports and all that. Ollie Gordon came up. They haven't announced what punishment he's going to get that I've
For
heard
what?
for his DUI.
Oh, I hadn't even heard about that.
Yeah.
That he got it. Oh man,
Yeah.
not that again.
Yeah, so he's got a
'Cause
DUI.
remember the receiver years ago?
Yeah, Justin Blackman.
Yeah.
He had a problem.
Yeah,
So now Gundy's got a big question in front of him, and I don't know if he said it. Somebody said he said this, and I thought it was a heck of a quote if he did, but didn't hear it coming out of his mouth, so it may not be true. But they said, "Oh, he's going to miss half the season because we have no intention of playing him on defense."
Yeah, I thought that was awesome.
So, but the question is now, does he lose a game? Does he sit out a game or two? Or now that he's on NIL, do you fine him? What would happen to him if he was playing in the pros? Would he miss a game in the pros?
Oh, that's interesting.
No, he would not miss a game in the pros. They'd fine him.
They'd fine him, yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't heard what
Yeah, because to sit him out is to punish yourself.
and other kids that didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
So yeah, it's a fact. The game's changing.
What was his legal punishment?
They don't know yet. It was about 4 to 5 days ago. So what I heard was he was driving, had 4 other kids, 2 bottles, half drunk bottles of liquor. He said he didn't drink anything. The cop said, he's finally copped to doing 1 drink. They did a field sobriety or a sobriety test on him. He when you get down to it, he was barely over the legal limit. So it probably supported his 1 drink thing, that he was probably and I don't know this.
Was he the driver?
Yeah, he was the driver, and he was probably there to be the designated driver and had 1 drink. So I don't know. He's under. The question gets to where do you get the booze, because he's under 21. All kinds of stuff. But it's just a big question. How do you?
I see.
If I were Gundy, I'd fine him and I'd tell him you got to check in. I'd tell all the guys that he hangs with, this kid's going to ruin his career and chances. So you guys don't try to push the drink on him. Try to keep him away from it.
Mayfield had the same thing going into his Heisman year.
I know he got. I kept saying that OSU needed to recruit the cop that chased him down and tackled him in Arkansas.
Yeah, I keep trying to picture.
Well, so here's the thing: it's not really a concern about does he face a legal, meaningful. I mean, it's a slap on the wrist, basically. And then as a student, they go after him. How many other frat kids? Right. It's really a coach discipline.
What kind of help do you get?
Yeah, I would flat out tell him, you got your choice. We'll fine you, and you're on a short leash. And the next time if I find out you were at a party drinking, you're off the team.
So I put a curfew on him.
Yeah, I mean, they have to negotiate something between the two of them. But I think the thing that'll stop him is 1, get his friends to police him. 2, tell him zero tolerance, flat out. It won't be a matter of suspension of games. You're out. But I think the kid, he's a good kid. I think he'll work it out.
I hope so. I hope so. I hate to see a guy at that age have his career ruined, his future ruined. Yeah. But here's the deal. has anybody spoken to his parents to have his parents speak some kind
I'm sure
of?
they have. I mean, all that stuff's going to be held back. I mean, they're going to be
Right.
behind.
Yeah.
The greatest influence with me, my parents would be, if my parents ever had gotten involved in anything I did, it would have been over.
Well, here's my thing. You can punish them, but the more important thing is set up an accountability to prevent further things. That's where the curfew and breathalyzer every night.
Yeah, it's like obviously Justin Blackman had a problem that didn't get out to the public.
Right, and you saw it later. It ruined his pro career because he never overcame it.
Yeah,
and so no, you're right. That's too bad. We hadn't heard that. But.
And this is kind of out of character. Ollie's been a pretty straight-laced, clean cut, as far as I know. He stayed out of bad publicity.
He's socially popular. You're just gonna. I did all kinds of stupid things when I was at OSU.
Exactly.
It's only the superstars that pay a price.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What
do you say? You want to wrap?
Yeah, I think we should. This has been an interesting show. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for coming in, spending some time with us. And hey, everybody, take care. Have a great week. Hope your 4th of July was a good one. And we'll talk to you later.